So I'm just going to do it all step by step. You can always fast forward through the videos. So, okay, so the thing with these is you got to make sure that you don't mix it up with the temperature sensor, because the temperature sensor looks exactly the same. Almost exactly the same. So there's a temperature sensor. This came from SparkFun, and these are not temperature sensors. These are N channels. I'm gonna sound like an idiot to somebody out there. These are resistors. There's got to be a symbol in here for resistor. These are 100k ohms, so that looks like that's where the resistor goes. And I'm guessing this is 100k also, so I'm guessing that's where the other three go. I think I'll start with those. Okay, so here are the resistors, and from what I understand, it doesn't really matter which way most of this stuff goes. The diodes do for sure. I do remember that from electronics class in high school. If you think you don't know what a diode is, you probably do. LEDs are light emitting diodes, and I remember that I blew a couple LEDs because I had them going the wrong direction. So those do for sure have to have the right direction. But resistors, pretty sure resist no matter which way the current is flowing. I'm just placing these resistors the same direction, but again, I don't think it matters. Bend these back, just get them out of the way. One more here. Okay, there's the resistors. Just the 4. 3 there. 1 there. Make sure this is clean. This is a really nice tool if you're going to do a lot of soldering. If you notice, I'm not heating up the solder with a soldering iron. I'm heating up the wire for the resistor, and then I just touch the solder to that wire. And when it gets the right temperature, the solder melts and just bonds right with that wire. Biggest mistake I used to make was I would touch the solder directly to the soldering iron and melt it immediately, but it wouldn't want to stick to the item that I was trying to solder. That was a lesson learned. There you go. There's 4 resistors. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I know from diodes that the electricity can only flow in one direction. To be completely honest, I don't know how to tell which way, but I have a feeling that this black band here is going to tell me. If you look on our nice little silk screen, there's a black line there, and obviously that's where the line goes with our diode. And just to confirm it, I found a picture of someone else's board online on the forums, and it is exactly that. You know, you match up this line with the black line on the diode here. Okay, next piece here is the 0.1 UF 50 volt Z5U. It goes right there. I can confirm this on the pictures. Okay, here's the next capacitors. This is the 10 UF capacitor, and I'm not sure. It looks like there's a negative sign here, and I'm assuming that this part of the capacitor is negative. Now, I really have no idea, and maybe it's the shorter wire is the ground or the negative, but I just checked on the photo on the website, at least from someone's board on the forums, and which is a much higher quality picture, so that's what I'm following, and that's how he has his set up, so I'm assuming they have to be set up that way. Okay, so the order doesn't totally matter, but it's easiest, I suppose, to go from small to large. So the next size here is the MOSFETs. You know, don't tell anyone, but I have no idea what these are for. And it looks clear to me that they go here because of their shape on the silk screen. And they kind of tell you which way they go, which is probably important. Let's put them on. If you look at the silk screen, as you can see here, it looks like, oh, what about that one? Well, this one is for the temperature sensor, and it says TMP36, so it's for temperature. And there you have it. Just gotta solder those on. Those guys are on there, and I did check the picture online. Those are correct. So next is the larger capacitor. We have clearly marked on the silk screen that there's a positive here and a negative here. Again, I think this is the negative side, the shorter end. The white solid line lines up with the solid gray, white, whatever you want to call it, on the capacitor. So that's how it goes in. There's a top view and a side view. I'm looking at the circuit board and I'm following the assembly instructions on the website, and I just noticed something that I wish I would have noticed before I started. Here. No problem there, I can solder those. But look between these two capacitors. I have to solder those headers on right there, those three, and I just soldered on these two capacitors. Why did they tell me to do it this way? What you should have done, or what I should have done, was solder the headers on first. That would make more sense, and then they would hang out the bottom, and it looks like some other people did it that way too. Now there is there's a gap here that you need, so there's some stuff that sticks up here, like this power connector. That's the main one, that's the tallest one. So I would, if I were to do this over, I would take the smaller end of these headers and solder them into this board first, and then later it'll be a lot easier to solder the OTG board on top of those pins. I'm going to try to solder these like this and see how it goes. Okay, next we have the 4 amp 600 volt bridge rectifier. Clearly marked positive, clearly marked negative. And the silk screen, clearly marked positive, clearly marked negative down here. Okay, so that just goes in like so. There you go. I got that piece on there. All soldered in. Still a little hot. We have the contact fixed terminal block. This is where our our furnace connection goes. Wires in. And pretty sure that's how it goes, like that. On the silk screen, there's the letters that line up with your furnace. So there's W, G, Y, RC, and RH. My furnace is very simple. It's only a 2-wire. So I'm going to have to bridge the 2 R's, basically. And then the white, so that's all I'm worried about. Alright, this is the last piece. Second to last piece are these guys. Relays. And they go just like that. I mean, pretty simple. Can't get that wrong. And there's 3 of them. Okay, relays are on, soldered in. Pretty basic. It was actually the easiest thing to solder. The DC to DC regulator comes wrapped like that. Don't want to forget that guy. And it's pretty easy on this board. I mean, you can obviously see if you're missing something. Now the temperature sensor. Remember, this comes from SparkFun, and that goes right here. Now this was suggested that it should hang off quite a bit, so you don't want that tucked on the board. There you have it. That's the full board. At least this half. Still needs to be joined to the OTG board. So you can compare to yours. Give me this view. Okay, here's the 2 boards together. I've not soldered them yet, but just so you know how it lines up, and you can play with it. Give you a top view. Okay, I was able to solder the 2 boards together without having to undo anything. It was challenging, but I was able to do it. Again, not ideal. Wish I would have realized that before I started soldering capacitors on. Yeah, that's a little uneven. I used some of this foam from the relays as a spacer when I soldered these in. Looks like it wasn't quite level. I think I'm going to keep it that way, unless it doesn't fit right. But that's essentially it, guys. Still need to put it in the 3D printed case, but that's the bulk of it right there.